In this video, I will be sourcing brands manually for Amazon arbitrage and dropshipping. This is a segment in a course on manual sourcing for Amazon arbitrage and dropshipping. And so in the previous video, I did go through these slides and I did explain why we're using brands for manual sourcing and the process that we are doing. In this video, I will actually physically demonstrate the process that I went over. However, using this as a guideline, I did talk about why brands for manual sourcing, and I do want to just quickly reiterate that point. And the main point was that it is faster than searching product by product from a supplier. It's faster when you take a brand that we know the supplier has that brand, and then we know that we find that same brand is on Amazon, and that's just faster than kind of guessing that these products will be on Amazon and searching them product by product. And what will happen is many of these are not, and then some are. And so the brands, if we can find one good brand, then we can find a whole ton of products that are sold, okay, all at once by Amazon and the supplier. All right, so now I did talk about the three main ways to actually find brands that are sold by the supplier. Now, we can, of course, now for this video, what I will do is I'm using suppliers that are already used by other sellers. So as far as whether or not these suppliers have products on Amazon, yes, they do. I know that because people use these suppliers, right? They're well known. Now, what I will do here, however, is point out the third thing, which is the brands list. So while, yes, I can go through the products and I can browse and I can see the brands here, Magic Bullet, Healthy Living, right? Kitchen Elite. I can see all these different brands. If you want a complete list of brands right away from this particular website, you can scroll all the way to the bottom of the page and find the shop by brand link. Now, sometimes it'll say brands, sometimes it will say shop by brand. Now, let me show you a quick trick, however, to find these brands pages on Google. And so what you do is you go over to Google, you search boscovs.com, in this case, which is the domain name. You put one space and then in quotes, you put brands. What that will do is find pages on the boscovs.com website that have a URL that contains the word brands in it. And that is most likely going to be a brands page. As you can see, the shop by brands page shows up. And if I click on that, you'll see it takes me to that shop by brands page. And it is the same page that you can get to from the home page. But not all sites are going to have that brands on the home page. And that is why I showed you the Google search method. Okay. The Google search method is the more, method that would work across like many sites, right? So, okay, I'll just close that extra window. Okay, so once you're at shop by brand, you pretty much have all the brands here. And so now it doesn't mean that this is always the better way, that you should just go straight to the brands list, because one thing about the upside, this is going to be great when you use an automated spreadsheet, which I am going to demonstrate probably in another segment. In another segment. When you use an automated spreadsheet like this to help locate suppliers and to see if Amazon shows up for these brand names, then this is where being able to get the list of brands is advantageous, because you can take all of the brands and just drop them into the spreadsheet and actually start like a process in bulk. Okay, but I'm talking about right now just doing it by hand. So when you're just doing it by hand, right, you might actually just want to visit the products and kind of pick up some brands. My reason for saying this is that let's go to Amazon, for instance, and talk about Amazon for a second. Amazon has different departments, and I know a lot of people are new to sell on Amazon. There are a lot of new sellers now, right? Out there are people looking into it, and you're most likely at the beginning, you're not able to just sell in all categories. But home and kitchen, for instance, is a category that sellers are, approved to sell in. generally, for the most part, right, across the bat. So you, for instance, might want to focus on, and that's just to do a random search, that minus thing, home and kitchen products, right? This is not a good, those weren't really a good selection, but like, say, products like this, okay? So this will, going through the products this way, right, allows you, basically browsing, okay, allows you to focus on the department that you can sell in. That's my point, really, right? You can go to home, okay, and then you can actually select a category such as kitchen and dining, where you expect to be approved to sell those products, right? And so you know that whatever you're looking at here, these are home products, and so you're going to get more home brands right away. Okay, so when you're truly sourcing manually, you might just want to get your brands from here, but yes, you can also use the list provided by the website. Okay, so let's see, let's say Sweet Home. I could take that brand name, for instance, and a lot of times it's a good idea just to open these products up, right? But this is clearly the brand name, right? Sweet Home Collection. Okay, a Sweet Home Collection could be part of that brand name, but I'm not absolutely sure. So I'll just take Sweet Home as the brand name. So now, again, following the guideline of what I went over before, we are now going to search the brand on Amazon. So let me first of all point that out. And so I will go here, search the brand Sweet Home. Here it is, Sweet Home Collection. I thought collection would be part of the brand name. And notice I have home and kitchen selected, since I know those are the products that I want to find, because I expect to be approved there. So Sweet Home Collection. And the first thing I want to look at here is the number of results. Okay, so the number of results. Clearly, there are a lot of results for Sweet Home Collection. This is what we want to see when we search the brand name on Amazon. Okay, we want to see a lot of results. We don't want to see 2 listings, right? What we want is, as we scroll down, that brand name just keeps popping up at us, right? Relevancy. The results are relevant to what we searched for, right? We want to keep seeing that Sweet Home Collection, because we're going to see other brands, right? We're going to see those other brands mixed in, but we want to see that Sweet Home Collection. Okay, we want it to be everywhere. Okay, when we go to page 2, we want to continue to see that Sweet Home Collection, right? Because what happens is, when you use software, paid software, research software like Keepa, you can punch in the brand name on a search filter, and it will tell you right away the number of listings are on Amazon, and you can filter it down in details, right? When you're doing it manually, you can't do that, so you really have to look, right, and get an idea. Now, if you keep going through the pages and you keep seeing Sweet Home Collection showing up, right, on each page multiple times throughout the pages, you know that Sweet Home Collection has a lot of products on Amazon, right? And you can keep moving through the pages, page 4, and so on and so forth, and you'll keep seeing if there are more products. You can go to page 5. And see if there are more products on page 5 as well, right? And you can just kind of keep going. Okay, at this point, I'm quite convinced there are a decent number of products, Sweet Home Collection, that are on Amazon. And what I might want to do here is actually start taking a look at some of these products. And I mean, if you want to go back to page 1, right, you can just click 1 and go back to page 1 here. And you can just open a product up right off the bat. I'll make sure it opens in a new tab separately. I want to keep this here. And the Sweet Home Collection. Okay, chair. All right, fine. So let's talk about something else. The brand name. We want to make sure that the brand name is the same brand name and accurate. Sweet Home Collection. we did see that on results, and we do see it here. And we also want to know who's selling the brand. Now, one thing I didn't mention over here that perhaps I could have mentioned is that you can open this brand name under the title, and you'll see if they actually have a storefront on Amazon. And as you can see, this brand has an actual storefront. Sometimes you click that link and you don't get a storefront, you just get a bunch of Amazon results, search results. But here you get an actual storefront with actual products. And so something to keep in mind, that, you know, later on, if you have a scraping tool or something that's going to pull the ASINs from a storefront, that if you're just interested in this brand, you can visit the storefront and look at all the products. Okay, from the storefront page. So it's good to know about the storefront. Okay, but getting back on what I was focusing on here right now is the sellers and who's selling it, right? So I want to know who's actually selling the product. And so clearly it ships from Amazon.com and it is sold by Amazon.com. All right. And I said before that when Amazon sells a product, the price tends to be, it's just hard to compete with Amazon.com if they're on the listing. However, you know, some people do even suggest listing on it, but they're looking at it from a standpoint of Amazon.com listings are going to be more popular, and they're right. But you will have to kind of wait for Amazon to go out of stock a lot of times before, you know, your units can get sold, because you're competing with Amazon itself, right? So yeah, I mean, if Amazon goes out of stock at some point, you're still there. You're gonna pick up all that traffic that Amazon has already brought to the product. But, you know, right now, if Amazon is not out of stock and they just keep selling this thing, you're just competing with Amazon, and it's hard to do, right? So that's the thing, right? The brand owner is not selling it, obviously, because it's Amazon. No FBA, no FBM. The question becomes, is this common for the product? Like, is this product, you know, do a lot of their products sell? Are a lot of their products sold by Amazon.com? Are a large number of them? That's the thing we have to kind of look into. So if we look at Sweet Home Collection here, another listing, right? I just opened up another listing. I see it again, ships from Amazon, sold by Amazon, right? So it starts to kind of look like it's a pattern. I mean, it's only two listings, but so far, you know, 2 for 2. I am going to close them. Are ships from, sold by Amazon, and I'm going to open another one here in a new tab, and it is ships from Amazon, but it is sold. It's got other sellers. Okay, let's see who sells it. Right? Because it could be FBA. No, this is also ships from Amazon, sold by Amazon. But then it has someone else who's selling it just a little cheaper. And by the way, it's possible you might be able to offer a lower price than what Amazon has. It's not, I mean, you know, if you just happen to get a really good discount at the right time, perhaps your cost might be low enough, right? To where you can sell it for less than they do, make a profit, right? So that's always a possibility. Now, as you can see, though, you know, you've got to go through a number of products to really determine if this brand is mostly sold, you know, by a certain type of seller. You have to kind of like examine that. I do have an ASIN scraper. It's a browser automation that will pull certain things from the from each ASIN, so that, you know, using stuff like that, you might be able to kind of automate pulling some data, you know, from listings to see who's selling it and things like that. You know, there are different other things you might be able to use, right? But basically, you know, a manual search, you can go through a bunch of products and kind of start to get an idea. So far it looks like it's both. It's sold by Amazon, but it's also sold by third-party sellers like this one who's doing fulfilled by a merchant. Typically, you see a product like this ships from and sold by the same seller, right? Which is fulfilled by a merchant. I would say 8, 9 times, 8, 9, 10 times out of 10, they're drop shipping. Okay. These comforter sets, things like that, it's probably someone who's drop shipping it. They could be shipping it themselves, but there's a strong chance that they're drop shipping that product. Right? And so, that pretty much covers evaluating results and some of the different things that we're going to look at for the results we get on Amazon. And really the only thing that's left now is the actual sourcing of products to see if you can actually locate products at the supplier. Manually, doing it truly manually, this is not a quick process where I can, quickly do a whole bunch of these and, find a profitable product. It's not fast that way. But what we can do is just look at the actual process, right? So one thing I can do is just take this title and Google search it, right? This is called a reverse search. Do a title or an image search, all right? And see what comes up. And of course, you can immediately visually do a comparison and kind of get an idea. You have these 16-inch deep pockets. Okay, the different little details, that might be in here. We can look at the size and all that. Make sure we know what those are. So when we're trying to find it somewhere else. And remember, it's Boscov's is that we started at. You don't, just because you started at Boscov's as the supplier and you found the brand there, doesn't mean you have to stick with Boscov's, right? If you can find this product cheaper somewhere else, you could sell it from a different supplier. So this is another thing, right, that we have to keep in mind with the brands and searching that way. Sometimes you're going to end up at another supplier, and you might be able to get a cheaper price with the same brand. All right. So, these are all things to keep in mind. Chances are when you just search for something this way, right, there's a strong chance it's not going to be profitable. And the reason is that most products, when you compare the price just, right there as it is right now on Amazon and the price just as it is right now in the store, they're not, most products that are in front of you are not going to be profitable. Okay. If it were that easy, if most products just jumped out being profitable right away, then people wouldn't use sourcing software. They wouldn't pay for it, right? There's a reason why manual sourcing tends to be slower. However, using the automated spreadsheets that I'm going to share with you, you're going to see when I demonstrate or do videos with those automated spreadsheets, and you can already find it on my channels. You don't have to even see it via this course. I mean, you can just see it through, all the content I have on my channel. But you'll see that, with the spreadsheets, you'll be able to do this stuff a lot with much less labor, right? Where it can search these for you. Okay, the title searches, it can do that for you. All right, so that's the most basic way. Of course, you can also do image search, with Google Lens. But I mean, you're not going to get different results. If the title search works, then that's pretty much what you're going to get, right? If the title search was good. Okay, here goes like Target. But another thing, you want to make sure that you check the brand out too when you source these back to a supplier. By the way, you want to make sure that the brand is still the same. But you may see products that look similar, but the brand is different, right? That's just not going to be a good idea, especially if you're doing FBA, where Amazon's going to actually be looking at the product and comparing it to the listing. You don't want to have one brand that is different, and it might literally be the same product or something, but you don't want the brands to be different. So make sure that the brand matches what it says on Amazon at the supplier as well, right? So basically verifying matches, you want to then kind of estimate profit. That is something I can get into a little more when I do like, probably bulk searches and things like that, where I can more quickly look at different products and do profit calculations using a spreadsheet. But this was basically like the general process of just going from a supplier, locating the brand, searching it on Amazon, what to look at on those different products, and then doing a reverse search to see if you can locate the same product at your same supplier or another supplier. So that is basically the process there of sourcing brands and how to actually source brands. I did talk about some next steps that would come after this, and I'll talk about that here again, which is going to be as automating brand searches, which I kind of gave you a short snapshot of before right here. So automating brand searches to help determine if they're on Amazon a bit more quickly, and then using spreadsheet automation to actually assist with the product searches, so that we don't actually have to sit here and say, well, let's look at every sweet home and see if we can reverse search it one by one. Okay, spreadsheet automation can take care of that. Okay, and then we can do profit calculation by popping in prices and all of that, and determining the profit with the formulas that are on that spreadsheet. Okay, and then thirdly, I mentioned that we will want to start using and this is really just part of the calculation part up here. So we will kind of want to get it more exacts and specifics when we actually find specific products that we know are good. But we don't always want to have to do all the detailed profit every single time on things that don't even look profitable. We want things, if it looks profitable in the first place, those are the products that we will, of course, take a look at in more detail and use these fee tables and different things to help with those calculations. All right. So that's it. That is the process of actually sourcing brands. Again, I just need to reiterate the fact that for a demo video, I'm forced to take one supplier and that I know has the products on Amazon, quickly find a brand, quickly just search the brand, quickly pull up a product, right? But I can't in the video manually go through 100 products, of course, in a normal, reasonable amount of time. So just keep in mind that realistically, if you're going to physically search products, expect to spend a lot of time doing that. And again, this is why I made automated Amazon spreadsheets, because 5 years ago when I started selling on Amazon, I was manually doing all of that, searching products. But the fact of the matter is, 5 years later, I think you're less likely to find profitable products that way than 5 years ago. I think today you need some sort of automation. That's what I really, do think that, believe that, because there's just more people, there's more competition as time passes. There's more and more people using more and more, using technology, using different things. And so you need to use some kind of technology that can assist you with this manual sourcing process. Remember that manual sourcing does not mean the absence of any type of tool at all. Manual is a relative term. Manual sourcing means not using the sourcing software, right? Not using the $30 a month or $100 or whatever, type of software you're using. It means not using that kind of software. That's what we mean by manual. However, it does not mean that we're not going to use a tool such as this, okay? Like this brand supplier matching spreadsheet. And this is part of, I believe, the free resources that I offer. So find a link. Basically, if you're watching the course that I put together for this, if you're on the course page, I should say, there should be a link to the course page. And when you click through to that, there's an option to download, access the free resources, which include this in a folder. And then there's an option also to join the Tools for Sales membership. Just go there for the details. It's better you go to the listing. So I'll see you in the next segment.